This is exactly what I have learned after doing over 11,000 different lab tests on my ADHD patients. The very first surprising lesson that I have learned is that dopamine is not the biggest problem when it comes to ADHD. When I've done all these tests, I have found that dopamine, even though it's still a big contributing factor, only about 48% tends to be low in dopamine. In fact, this leads into my second lesson that I learned is that serotonin is even a bigger problem than dopamine. The interesting thing about this is I only work with adults that have ADHD or high achievers that are trying to optimize their brain to fuller capacity. And what I found and why it makes sense is that serotonin, 61 to 62% of the people that we tested were low in serotonin, which makes a lot of sense because if you've been dealing with ADHD your whole life and still haven't been able to treat it very effectively, you're going to feel a little bit more depressed. Your motivation is going to be impacted when you have low serotonin levels. So obviously that makes a lot of sense with people with ADHD. And so this is something that we had to target more specifically and address more frequently than specifically looking at dopamine. But one of the biggest contributing factors that did surprise me a lot that I didn't even look at until I started running these different tests is an excitatory neurotransmitter known as phenethylamine, and 91% of the people we tested were deficient in this. So good chance that if you're watching this video and you're an adult with ADHD, you probably have this issue, and something that we've been addressing more and more and has been able to successfully help people instead of just looking at just specifically dopamine. Now, if you don't want to write this all down, you want my full lab ADHD protocol that I give to people that you could send to your functional medicine doctor to run different labs to help identify your root causes of issues with your ADHD, then download that in the description below. Now, the fourth lesson that I found that really surprised me too is instead of just looking at just the neurotransmitters that are issues, which yes is a big contributing factor when it comes to ADHD, but it was the micronutrients that help make these specific neurotransmitters that make a huge difference. Specifically, like even just looking at amino acids. So for example, dopamine, I already told you about 48% of the people that we test tends to be deficient in that area. But what we did find is things like tyrosine, about 52 to 53% of people we tested was deficient in that area. And then also things like vitamin B6 that helps make dopamine as well, about 60% of the people we tested were deficient in that area. So really it was the ingredients that help make dopamine that was the bigger issue and not specifically just dopamine itself. Because when it comes to taking medication, it's just stimulating dopamine. But that isn't the biggest problem. It's the things that help make dopamine that needs to be addressed. So when we focused on the deficiencies of specific amino acids and the different micronutrients, instead of just going right for dopamine, we got better results with our patients. They were able to start even getting to a point where they can get rid of their medications because we were targeting the specific things that help make dopamine. The other surprising things I did find with running these different micronutrient panels is that when it came to memory issues, especially for adults that were 40 and above, is that the things that we found that was deficient more frequently was things like choline and serine. In fact, about 35+% of the people we tested were deficient in this category. And so when we addressed those deficiencies of serine and choline, we started to see memory recall starting to improve. There's also some other surprising micronutrients, things like zinc, also vitamin B12, that were really deficient. But the one that wasn't as deficient that really did surprise me was magnesium. And I think the research shows when you look at research for ADHD, it's usually kids. So young kids tend to be very deficient with magnesium because their diets suck. A lot of adults with ADHD, their diets maybe are not as great, but it's maybe a little bit better where they're getting enough magnesium. Because we only found about like 10% or less adults with ADHD that were actually low in magnesium levels, at least significantly low. And the fifth lesson that I learned when it came to running all these different lab tests is that I found that stress is a bigger contributing factor than we put credit towards when it comes to your ADHD. And the reason being is there's three main things that we tested for, like norepinephrine, epinephrine, as well as looking at GABA. Now, epinephrine and norepinephrine have a lot to do with stress, and we found that norepinephrine was like 60+% of an issue, and epinephrine, we found about 98% of the people we tested were low in epinephrine. So this is something that's not looked at when it comes to ADHD. And for GABA, which has to do with managing our stress and anxiety, we found that 38% of the people we tested were deficient in GABA levels. And so when we started to address not only supplementing and implementing nutrients and lifestyle changes for these areas to improve those levels, we also helped with improving managing stress better and eliminating things that triggered their stress, made a big difference in improvements in their ADHD. The sixth lesson that I found is that hormones plays a big contributing factor as well, even bigger than dopamine when it comes to actually treating ADHD. And here's the biggest one that I did find was cortisol. Cortisol, about 92% of the people we tested had low cortisol levels. Cortisol has everything to do with increasing our energy, not just physical energy, but also mental energy, but also impacts our stress as well. And so if 92% of the people we tested, this probably could be you who's watching this video, have low cortisol, it's hard to function, to have motivation, drive throughout the day. So when we start to improve that through proper supplementation, lifestyle changes, then we start to see a big improvement in their drive and focus throughout the day. Now, like I said, if you don't want to, write this all down and you want a full list of my ADHD lab protocol guide, you can download that in the description below. Now, the seventh lesson that I learned, which definitely comes to a surprise for a lot of people, and even for me when I first was doing this, is that we did find a good percentage of people that had too high of things like serotonin and dopamine. In fact, about 22% of the people we tested, we found that their serotonin levels were too high. And it's because they were on a particular medication, such as an SSRI, that increased it and caused what is known as serotonin syndrome. This caused agitation, irritation, also hallucinations, also just not in a good mental state, and it's not a good situation to be in. Whereas we found that dopamine, maybe not as many, but we did still find about 10% of people that we tested had elevated levels of dopamine, which causes a lot of the similar symptoms as like serotonin syndrome. And so it isn't always about increasing dopamine or serotonin. Sometimes we got to lower it. And this is why testing is so vital to look at, to making sure that we're not doing more damage to the body, but we're actually balancing where we need to be balancing in the right place for you as an individual. And this is what I do with all my patients all the time. And so you should watch this video next where I talk about my 3-step system of how to eliminate your ADHD symptoms and walking you step by step. So watch this video next.